Today I'm going to show you how to make this owl I created to add to the Winnie the Pooh collection. So this is Winnie the Pooh's owl. In order to create him, it does take quite a few of a dark colored brown band. With him, it took me about 200 of the dark brown bands. And then 85 of a lighter brown. I actually used one of the skin colors. There's it's not really a brown, but it's a darker skin color. I used that for this section. You'll need about 6 yellow bands for the beak, and then 2 black pony beads for the eyes. If you don't have the pony beads, you can just use 2 black bands. So let's go ahead and get started. If you want to grab your supplies, and we'll go ahead and start working on our owl. The first thing that we're going to be creating is the wing. So I'm going to go ahead and create one of them with you, and then I've already made one, so you'll have to pause the video to make the second one. We're going to start at the top of the loom. We'll be using all of our dark brown bands, and these are all be single bands. So we're going to come down the left side of the loom 8 times. And then we're going to come down the center peg 8 times. And then we're going to come down the last row 7 times. If you get ahead of me, don't place the 7th band. So we're going to actually go down 6 first. And then you want to take a single brown, and we're just going to place it on this peg here. And now we can place our 7th band. We're then going to come from the 7th peg, 8th peg down to the 9th center peg, coming across with 1. And do the same thing from the 9th center to the left 9th peg. We then want to come down with 1 more band off each peg, and we're then going to cap all of these with 3 loops. We then are going to take single bands, and we are going to place one on each peg on the right hand side. And we do not need one on this peg here since we already have this one down here. So you're just placing them on the 7 pegs on the right, starting at the top. We're then going to do our crossover bands. We don't need any on the top, but starting on the 2nd set down, you're just going to create single band triangles. And then that would be your last one there. And this is what you should have. Once we have that in place, we're going to go ahead and loop up. So you want to go in under your capping band, bringing this one forward. Do the same thing here. This one must have come loose. And then we're going back in here, grabbing the first band, bringing that to the right, and bringing this first band in here to the right. And we're going to go ahead in and just loop straight up. Make sure when you're looping you're going through the holding band, and we want to go through the middle of this band as well. So when you go in, you don't want to go to the outside of it, make sure it's going through the middle. Going back down, we're going to go straight up the center. And repeat that on the left. We are then going to take a single brown. We're going to cap off the left peg, or tie that one off. It's temporary, so don't go too tight because you want to be able to remove it. This one we are not going to touch at this time. Now we can go ahead and remove. We're going to remove the first 2 rows, leaving this one in place. Then I'm going to remove these pegs and switch it with your pegs on the left. Now we want to take this bottom band right here, and we're just going to go ahead. No, we're not putting that one on yet. This one, I'm sorry, the top one goes on. Pull that one on the center peg. We're going to take a single and go from the center to the right. And now we're going to fill in these first. So we're going straight down. So you're coming down a total of 7 times. And then on this, on the right peg, you're going to come down a total of 6 times, like that. Now we can take this one that we had on the bottom and bring it up over that peg. Take another band coming from the right to the center. We're now going to add a single off the center and a single off on the right. And we're going to cap these 2 with 3 loops. We then, all of those bands that we had stuck on the pegs, we need to pull those over as our holding bands. So we're going to grab it and create the triangles. Just want to make sure you're grabbing the right one and not the one that we had used on the other side of the wing. It should look like that. And now we can go ahead and start looping. So the first thing we want to do is go back through this peg here, grabbing that bottom band and pulling it on to itself. And then I'm going to go in this capping band, bringing this forward, and this capping band, bringing this one forward. I'm going to go in here, grabbing the first single band, bringing that to the right. And now I can go ahead and loop up the right side. Bringing it to the center. And then going through all of these, grabbing the bottom single and coming straight up the center. And then we're going to grab this one, pulling it over to the left. We then need a single brown, and we're going to tie this off. Don't tie it too tight because we do want to be able to remove that later. And we can now go ahead and remove from the loom. And then this is your wing right here. So go ahead and pause the video to make his second wing, and then we'll continue on. The next part that we're going to create is his little foot. So I already made one. I'll show you how to make one. You'll just have to pause the video to make the second one. You're going to start on the top of the loom with a single brown, and we're going to double it, bringing it out to the left. And do the same thing, single double, going to the right. And take a single double, coming down once on the left. Single double once on the right. And then a single double coming down the center. And we're going to do that 2 times. We're then going to cap off each end, creating 4 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Do the same thing in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once on the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can go in under the capping bands, grabbing the bottom 2, bringing them up. We can go ahead and bring that all the way up to the top. Same thing on the right side. And then coming up the center. We can go ahead and loosen this up. And go ahead and place that on a holding hook and set it aside for later. So go ahead and pause the video and make the second one, and we'll continue on. One more piece that we're going to make ahead of time is the side of his body, the extension piece. So I've already made one of them, so I'll show you how to make one, and then you can go ahead and pause the video to make the second. So you're going to come down the left side of the loom with 2 brown bands, the dark brown, and we're going to do that 6 times. We're then going to cap it off 3 times. And we can go ahead and loop that up. and then just grab your holding hook, place it on there, and set that aside. So go ahead and pause the video to make the second one, and then we can continue on. Now that we have our side pieces and our feet and our wings, we can go ahead and start on the body. We're going to start on the top of the loom with 2 bands, and I'll be using 2 bands unless I tell you otherwise. So, you know what, before we do that, let's do the beak. Totally forgot about the beak. He needs a beak. Sorry, guys. Okay, so taking your yellow bands, we're going to take a single yellow and double it, coming down once on the left. Do the same thing on the right. Taking a single double, bringing it from the second left to the center third peg, and repeat that on the right. Taking a single double, going from the second peg to the second peg, and we're going to cap this off 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go in under the capping band, grabbing the first single double band, bringing that up to the right. Do the same thing with this one, going to the left, and then bringing this up. And we can go ahead and remove this and place this on our holding hook. Your side might stick out a little from the holding band, but when he's stretched to put on his face, you won't see that anymore. Okay, now we can move on to the body. So we are going to start on the top of the loom with 2 brown bands coming down from the center to the left. And from the center to the right. And we're going to take 2 dark brown bands coming down once in the center. We're now going to switch to our lighter colored brown. So you're going to come down 2 times with 2 of your lighter color. Repeat that on the right. And then we want to bring that into the chin peg. And then coming in the center, filling that in as well. We are then going to go ahead and create the face extension before we move on. So we're going back to our dark brown bands. You're going to start on the 3rd peg down from the top, and we're going to come down with double bands 3 times. Do the same thing on the other side. And then we're going to cap these with a single brown 3 times. Then I'm going to go in under the capping band and loop up the 3 browns. Same thing on this side. We're then going to place your finger over the 3rd peg, stick your hook through the capping band and remove it, bring it around, and attach that to the top peg here. And do the same thing on this side. And I just realized we went with the wrong color. Don't Don't kill me, guys. This is not supposed to be light brown. So we're going to stick our hook through, remove the extension piece, and then do the same thing over here. Okay, so this is a dark brown, 2 dark browns coming into the chin peg, 2 dark browns from this one, and 2 dark browns in the center there. And then we'll just rehook this. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, now we're switching back to the light bands. We're going to come from the chin peg out to the left with 2 light browns. Same thing going out to the right. We are then going to come down 7 times. Yeah, 7 times with 2 of your light brown on the left. Repeat that on the right side. And we are then going to bring that in to close it off with 2 of the light brown. Then coming down the center, we're going to start with 2 bands coming from the chin peg down the center, and then we will switch to 3 bands. And all of these so far are 3. And then we will finish off this last one with just 2 bands here. We're then switching back to the dark brown, and we are going to come off of this peg here with a single dark brown, and we are going to double it. And do that again, coming down to the last peg. Single double on the right. And repeat that again. We're then going to take a single light brown, and we are going to cap off this peg here with 3 loops. just like that. Now we can go ahead and attach some of our pieces that we've already created. So if you want to grab the feet, you're going to go ahead and just attach these to the bottom peg, one on each side. And there is a lot of bands, so make sure that you're getting them all on. And they're tight. I don't know if they're going to go on like that. The last time I created him, I didn't use the last peg, so let's look at it this way then. If you can't get it on, take off the last single double and then pull it on using your hook like that. This seems to be a little bit easier. That's how I did it the first time I made him. Okay, and do the same thing for this one as well, because there's a lot of bands on there and it's very tight because they're all single double. We are then going to place his wings. So you want to take your wings, and if you look at them, you want them, there's a slight angle to them, so you want, this would be the way they would go. You want them facing down so that the angle goes this way. So just look at the wings and see which way they should go. So this one goes on the left facing down, and then this one I'll just flip over, and that one's facing down. So we are going to attach these to the shoulder peg and the two pegs underneath. So when we brought it up, we have these three. We want to attach them here, but we're going to remove this holding band that we used. So the easiest way to do this, if you're worried about losing any bands, is to go ahead and take your hook, go through the bands that we're going to be placing, and we're going to remove the band we used to hold it together. I'm then going to place the wing on this peg, just like that. I'm going to do the same thing here. And the same thing on here. Now this one had more than just 2 bands because we brought it up from the side, so there should be about 4 bands in there. So make sure you have all 4 in your hook before you remove that holding band. And there's one wing, so we're going to repeat that on the other side. I'm going to have to get some of those hooks. One of my followers found these plastic clips at the crafting store to use when you are having to hold things in place and you don't want to tie them off with bands. It makes it quicker and easier. So I am going to hunt me down some of these clips because they look like they're pretty cool. Okay, now that the wings are on, we can attach the body extensions, so you want to grab those. And these are going to attach from the bottom of the wing peg, so this peg here, down here. So you want to place the thicker portion, we're going to place that one down here on the bottom. We are then going to place our hook through the capping bands, bring it up, and attach it to the peg where the bottom of the wing is attached. Just like that. And there's our owl so far. The beak will be attached during the looming process. The last thing we need to add on, other than our crossover bands, is our eyes. So we're going to take a single light brown band. I'm going to pinch it and push that through the 2 black beads. And those will go from the second peg down on each side. Then going to separate the 2 eyes, and I'm going to pull this right above. Oh, you know what? The beak on this one I don't attach during looming. Take another single light brown, and we're actually going to pull all of this onto the single. I'm then going to take this from the second peg as well, where the eyes are attached. You then want to pull the beak down over this peg, and if you remember, there was a separation here between the bands. Let's go ahead and pull that apart a little bit, and then I want to split. I want to split between these 2 bands so I can hook it around. So it's actually attached to this peg with the band that we fed through. Okay, and that's what you should have right there. Now let's go ahead and place the crossover bands that we'll be needing. So the first one, we're going to start right below the shoulder peg right here, and these will all be single bands. And I'm going to use the dark brown coming across with a single brown. And we're going to do this all the way down. For this, for this peg here, because we're not actually attached with this, these right here we want to do dark brown because of the wings. And then we're going to switch back to the light brown. And that's what you should have. And now that everything is in place, we can go ahead and begin the looping process. So we're going to go in underneath his little feet, grabbing the single double and bringing it up. Do that again on this side. We're then going in under this capping band, grabbing the first 2 light browns, bringing those forward. Grabbing the next 2, bringing those to the left, and bringing this to the right. We can then go ahead and loom straight up the middle. And then going back down, looming up the right or the left, your choice. And then we're going to loom up the left. And that one is really tight. Now we're going to go in under all these bands in order to get the first two brown. And we'll bring those forward. When you do that, go ahead and grab your beak and we're going to pull it through there so it doesn't end up buried. Now mine came off. There we go. Then grabbing the next two bands. And the next two. Going in the right side, and we can go ahead and loop this side up. Same thing on the left. And then bringing up our center. Then we are going to take a single brown. Just double check real quick, make sure you have all your teardrops because we don't want to lose any of our pieces. And create our slip knot. And he is ready to come off the loom. He has a lot of bands on him, so he's kind of tight to get off. And now that he's off the loom, we're going to go ahead and fix him up some. You want to stretch him out in the center and pull down. Depending on the type of bands that you have, he has a tendency to bow out right here. And if that's happening to you, what I found worked, because if I go with less on this, he doesn't come out very round. But if you go in his backside, grab a single dark brown, and just go in behind one of these bands. And I think it's because he's stretched out so much on the loom, too. Like, it just really depends on your bands. And you can just tie a slip knot together like that, and then hide it back into his back somewhere. And that will just secure that rounded edge a little bit for you there if you wanted to do that. Like I said, I tried using less bands, but then it pulls everything in on the side, and he's just not as round. And, well, he's supposed to be round because he's an owl. And if you really wanted to, you could also C-clip them, but I don't like using C-clips. That's probably why I don't make very many bracelets, because I don't like C-clips. They annoy me. They're hard to use. Okay. And then just push his eyes forward, straighten out his beak some. And then hide his crossover band. And there is Owl from Winnie the Pooh. I hope you like him.